Hi everyone, welcome back to a brand new Doctor Who YouTube video on the Eternal Watcher. So I came back yesterday and I talked about all the kinds of stuff I'd be doing since, I haven't done a video besides that in like 3 months, and it was a Marvel review. And I didn't really do anything since because I've been so busy, but anyway, I'm back. I talked a bit more about it and the sort of stuff that I'll be doing yesterday, and anyway, with that weird intro out the way, today's a very exciting day for any Doctor Who fan. For the better or worse, it's Regeneration Day. Tonight at 7:30, the Power of the Doctor, Jodie Whittaker's last episode in her tenure as the Doctor, will begin. And by 9 o'clock tonight, she will have regenerated into either David Tennant or Ncuti Gatwa. We don't really know. We're going to find out at 9 o'clock, and I'm sure it's going to be lots of fun. But since I'm not actually doing a YouTube video until, reviewing the episode until, like Tuesday, I thought that I'd do a little video about Power of the Doctor now, even though the episode isn't out. Well, I'm recording at 3 o'clock at the moment, so the episode itself isn't actually out for another, 4.5 hours. I thought I'd do a little video about people's theories on the episode, since it's always interesting to theorise and speculate. Whovians are brilliant at it. I'm not overly great at it, so I've asked my Discord server, the Eternal Watcher, to think of some theories for me, and I'm going to be reviewing each of these theories, saying whether I think they'll be, how probable they are, if there's anything that suggests they will happen, if there's anything that suggests they won't happen, and I'm going to rate each one out of 10. If your theory gets a low score, that doesn't mean it's a bad theory, it just means I don't really think it's going to happen, and I don't really want it to happen. That's kind of the criteria for these theories. It's nothing too serious, just a fun little video speculating about Power of the Doctor. So we might as well get cracking, really. So the first theory is basically a fairly simple theory. We will see Jodie regenerate into Ncuti, but it suddenly turns into Tennant. This was submitted by someone on my Discord server. You know who you are. Thank you. So I can see this, to be honest. I think it's a reasonable theory. Obviously we're going to have a regeneration, and it's going to be either Ncuti or Tennant. No one's really, suspected before that it could be both. I know we've had that rumour, wasn't it, that we have this timefall thing, and it's like a timefall virus that affects these Time Lords and basically causes them to degenerate back into their previous selves. I think that would be really interesting if the regeneration starts as normal and then timefall or whatever happens, and then the Doctor goes back to Whittaker, then Capaldi, then Smith, then Tennant, and it stops there, and the Doctor's like, what on earth, why am I the 10th Doctor? Let's go and find out why, and then it leads into the 60th anniversary special, or at least the first of 3, because it's implied we're getting 3 next year. So I think that's a very, very probable theory. I've got to give you credit for that. So I'm gonna give it a solid 9 out of 10. The only hitch is I don't think we're seeing Ncuti Gatwa at all, since I believe filming finished after before Ncuti Gatwa was cast, so unless they did a separate little bit of filming with Ncuti, I don't really think we're seeing him at all. But I think Whittaker into Tennant is by far the most logical and obvious thing that will happen, given that it's implied he's playing the Doctor, basically. So yeah, that's theory 1, 9 out of 10, very solid theory. Now for the next one. This is sort of a 2-part theory, which I think is very interesting. The Doctor and the Master will body swap, Freaky Friday style. It's not going to happen. I don't think so. I don't really think Chibnall is overly capable of doing something like that. It requires a lot of interesting writing. You're writing one character onto another. I'd imagine that's rather complex for someone like Chibnall to do, given that he isn't the strongest writer. I'm sorry, I don't mean to just be, Chibnall bad, but Chibnall is kinda bad. Sorry guys. Yeah, I really don't think he's an overly competent writer, so I feel I don't think it'd be done very well. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think Chibnall's going to do something like that. We have had body swaps in Doctor Who in the past, but it seems something more like Moffat would do. It's just a very Moffat-y thing. I can't really see Chibnall doing that. Now, the next part of the theory is, I feel if the first part of the theory is true, the second part will happen. It's just that the first part probably won't, so the second probably won't. And that being, Yaz shoots the Master, but it turns out to be the Doctor, and that's why she regenerates. That's interesting. I think that would be very, very high emotional stakes. Like, Yaz would have to deal with the fallout of, oh my god, I just shot the Doctor. And obviously, if she didn't know, like, I know there's that shot of her in the TARDIS of her, like, holding the gun at, pointing a gun at someone. I'd assume it'd be the Master, or maybe, like, I don't know, a Shad, the Cyberman, or someone, I don't know. But I feel, yeah, if it was a Master Doctor body swap, that's what it would be. But quite simply, sorry, Hazel Diash, that's your sort of a pseudonym, isn't it? I don't think that's going to happen. But if the first part happens, the second part will happen also. So I'll give you credit for that. I'll give the theory a 6 out of 10. It's a decent theory, but I don't think it's going to happen, as fun as it would be. The next two theories aren't overly fully fledged theories, they're just sort of like little statements. The first is that either Yaz or Dan die. Yeah, that's going to happen, I feel. It's very probable, very likely. I feel if Yaz dies, there'll be a lot more emotional stakes, given that Yaz has been with the Doctor for most of her life. It will be very sad. And since Dan isn't sticking around, I don't think it would be very sad if the Doctor regenerates alone, which I think will happen, or with the Master, maybe. If Dan dies, it'll be more surprising, given that he's not, like... He's liked, but he's sort of just like the wholesome old guy, just sort of there for a bit of funny comic relief in the background. He doesn't really have a very serious role, and I feel if he dies, it'll be the same with Jericho in The Vanquishers, in that it'll be like, oh no, he died, and then 5 minutes later, you've kind of forgotten about it. Simply because Dan hasn't been with us for very long. He's been with us for 9 episodes as of Power of the Doctor, and in that time, he hasn't really had much of an impact, so yeah, but I definitely think one of them, at least one, will die. So, yeah, I'm going to give that a 10 out of 10. I really think that's going to happen, and honestly, if it does, I respect Chibnall quite a lot, given that it's something that he's really quite afraid to do, just kill off main characters. Now, this next theory, a Phasmin kiss. I don't really care about Phasmin. As far as Doctor-companion relationships go, is good, but even then, I don't like the concept of a Doctor-companion relationship. I think it's weird, given that one is thousands of years older than the other, and the different species is just weird. As far as they go, Phasmin's pretty good, but even then I don't really care about it, because neither of the characters I don't think are really written very well, and I don't think the relationship is really done much at all. It's like 2 minutes in either of the Daleks and like 5 in Legend of the Sea Devils. Like, there's nothing there. It's really just a... Yeah, Chibnall, like... go all in or go home, I feel he's just really half-baked it. And that kind of annoys me, actually, because it could be something really interesting, but just, it hasn't done anything with it, and I think it'd be very interesting if he does, but I just can't see it happening, given how much stuff he's cramming into 90 minutes. I think it will happen, but I don't think much else will happen Phasmin-wise. Like, I can't see this coming to a satisfying conclusion. I'm going to give the theory an 8, because I think it's going to happen, but I don't really care about Phasmin to begin with much. The next is an epic Avengers Endgame style moment with loads of classic companions returning. That's not happening. Tegan and Ace are going to be there, and it'll be great. We might even get a cameo from Jo, or maybe even Romana too. Or even Susan, because you remember Chibnall wrote this thinking it was the last ever Doctor Who episode for a while, so he's probably going to have a few classic companions in there, lots of nods to previous episodes. That said, I don't think we're going to have an epic Avengers Endgame Portal-style moment with loads of classic companions coming through. It would be very cool if that happened, especially if they were like... it was like a Deus Ex Machina, like a team of classic companions coming together to help save the Doctor. That would be really interesting. But quite simply, sorry, that's not happening. 5 out of 10. Sorry. Number 6, the Doctor and the Master regenerate simultaneously. Whittaker will become Gatwa, and Dewan will become Tennant. So I saw this screenshot on Twitter the other day, actually, that was I'm assuming it was photoshopped, but even then it would be really cool if it was real. That instead of introducing Ncuti Gatwa as the Doctor and David Tennant as the Master, I think that would be really interesting. Firstly, because David Tennant is a fantastic actor, and I feel would work really well as the Master, especially since he's been the Doctor before. And yeah, Ncuti Gatwa, I'd love to see him in the 60th anniversary special, but quite simply, I don't think we're going to see him as the Doctor in the first episode of the 60th. I think it's going to be very Tennant-centric, which is fine. Tennant's great. Yeah, so as cool as this would be, I don't think it's going to happen, and I'm going to give this a big old 4. Sorry. Now, this next theory, I only came through about 20 minutes ago, so I haven't written it down on this document I have in front of me. But it's a rather long theory written by someone on my Discord server called Frontios101. Thank you for the input. And it's a rather long theory, so I'm just going to read it out. My theory. When the Doctor regenerates at the end of the episode, it could be a regeneration error, and Tennant might be 13.5, not 14. That makes sense. Instead of degenerating back into 10, it might just be another side incarnation like War and Fugitive, where it's not officially called the 14th Doctor, but just like the other Doctor, the 60th Special Doctor. I don't know. I'm sure we'll have a name for him, the Timefall Doctor. Because if you think about it, when she regenerates, we'd start to get a few glimpses of Gatwa's Doctor, but somehow it starts going wrong by the intervention of the Toymaker. I'm saying the Toymaker because that seems to be the most likely character Neil Patrick Harris is playing, and he can regenerate the Doctor to a previous face like the 10th Doctor, but it isn't exactly the 10th Doctor or even the 14th Doctor. So yeah, it kind of degenerates back into the 10th Doctor, but is not, since it went from Whittaker. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, the Doctor might have the 10th Doctor's face, but because of the intervention, the Doctor is sort of in a between limbo of saying goodbye to his 13th incarnation and finishing the regeneration to become 14. Yeah, so that's sort of an expansion of the first one, really. We see Jodie regenerate into Ncuti, but suddenly becomes Tennant. Yeah, I mean, that's really a sort of debate as to what we're calling this new Doctor, providing this does happen. Are we calling him the 10th Doctor, since he has degenerated back into 10? Is this the 14th Doctor, the Timefall Doctor? You know, what are we calling this incarnation, the 13.5th? You know, I feel we need a good name for him. That said, as for the expansion of the Celestial Toymaker, that's interesting, because obviously we aren't seeing the Celestial Neil Patrick Harris's character, who I'm assuming is the Celestial Toymaker. That's a whole other video. I don't think we're seeing him in this episode, but it could still absolutely be a thing that happens, and the Celestial Toymaker is, you know, he's revealed as the villain, played by Neil Patrick Harris, in the 60th anniversary special. Personally, I'm not too big a fan of the centenary special Power of the Doctor leading into the 60th special. Quite simply, I want them to be very separate entities. That said, I still feel it's very likely that we are going to have some sort of link to the 60th, even a small one. So that's a very good theory. I'm going to give that a solid 8 out of 10. I feel that's rather likely, and yeah, quite a good idea. Well done. So that's 7 theories that we've discussed. Some, you know, varying likelihoods of theories. We've not had a terrible theory, so that's good. So that's kind of all I have for this video. I've rather rambled on quite a bit since we're like 15 minutes in. Well, I'm 15 minutes into the recording. I might do a little bit of editing, who knows. So yeah, that's been it for this video, everyone. Thanks for watching, if you're still here. Please do make sure to comment below as for any TV show, film recommendations that you want me to check out. I'll be sure to watch them and maybe even give them a review if I think they're sufficiently good or bad to give a review of. Again, thank you for watching, everyone, and I'll be back on Tuesday for a podcast-style review of The Power of the Doctor. I might even do a tiny little video after the episode airs today, just discussing really briefly what the hell just happened, and I'll talk a little bit about the episode, just sort of like a mini review, just sort of getting my thoughts out there to you guys. But yeah, that's been it for this video. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you Tuesday.